Welcome to Liverpool FC Journal. I'm Owen James. This is your Liverpool news update, guys. It is the 22nd of January. We are a few hours on from that great performance last night in the south of France. Liverpool going down to Stade Velodrome, putting on a tactical masterclass. Got to give Arne Slot his props for last night's performance. He got it right. He got the team selection right. He got the team set up right. And look, as much as you can criticise him for different performances this season and for what has gone on this season, you've got to give a man credit when he does a job. And he did do a job last night. So all credit to Arne for the performance last night. But you know what? We're going to talk, obviously, about what's coming up. We're going to talk about the future as well. And look, we're in the January transfer window. And look, as I've said before on previous videos, I genuinely do not believe that Liverpool will sign anyone this January. I think we'll come out of this January transfer window with absolutely no signings for the men's first team at all. I know we've signed players for the women's team. I know we've signed players for the under-21s, but certainly no arrivals yet. And look, the business obviously has got to be concluded by February the 2nd, I believe it is. But look, it is happening. I genuinely believe we will come out of this window with nobody. And I think, given the situation at centre-back, that is a huge, huge error by the club. And I think the situation is still exceptionally confused as to what the aspirations are for this season and also what the aspirations are for next season and who will be here next season, who will not be here next season. I think there's still a lot of confusion around the club, and maybe that is also partly contributing to the lack of continuity in performance or lack of quality in performance, that in uncertainty. We all know that uncertainty can breed that lack of trust and that lack of shape and lack of form and lack of everything, at a football club. If we look at the centre-back room as it stands at this moment in time, there are 4 centre-backs under contract. Well, 4 main-line centre-backs anyway. I know there are others, but 4 main-line centre-backs. Now you've got the likes of Nallo and Welty Lucky and all those. But at the moment, the 4 top-line centre-backs, obviously headlined by Virgil van Dijk and Ibou Konate. Joe Gomez kind of bringing the back up there, and young Italian Giovanni Leone, the 4th option. I think, look, if you looked on paper and you set that at the start of the season and said, look, you've got 4 centre-backs there, you'd go, yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. That'll probably get us through this season. But there's a story behind all of this, as there always is. Seems to be a story on Merseyside, isn't there? Virgil van Dijk, look, he's not getting any younger. He's 33, 34 years old. He's got 18 months left to run on his deal. And in the end of 2027, Virgil will likely leave Liverpool, which leaves us in an interesting position for future planning. And you've got to hope that Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, and the rest of the club's hierarchy are putting in place plans long-term to replace the greatest defender in world football history. I mean, an absolute superstar defender. How do you replace him? I mean, I think there are probably more candidates to replace Virgil van Dijk than there are, say, to replace Alisson Becker, for example. And I want to touch on that as well in this video. So, look, there is the likes of Bastoni, there's Schlotterbeck. I think a lot of us hope Mark Gahey would be the guy who came in and replaced him, but obviously that has gone by the by, and I'm not going to re-debate the Gahey issue. Ibou Konate, obviously, who knows with Ibou Konate what will happen. It appears contract talks are a stalemate, that David Ornstein is suggesting that he will move on at the end of the season. And my big worry there is, as we approach the final few months, weeks of the season, if he is still looking for a club or has a club, then the downing of tools will become even greater from Ibou Konate, not wishing to get injured or risk that big money move or the signing on fees that he will get from going. So there's obviously that uncertainty. Joe Gomez, again, uncertainty around his future. Will he still be here at the start of next season? Talks of him going to Italy. I mean, look, Joe's great. Joe was fantastic last night against Marseille. And Joe is a top quality defender. And I've got no doubt in my mind that had Joe avoided the injuries that he's had over his career, him and Virgil would be our starting pair. He is that good a player. He would be an England international as well, a consistent England international, sorry. But the injuries have hurt him, and they continue to hurt him. And Joe's body, I don't think, can take playing 3 games a week. It can't take 3 full 90 minutes, certainly. So there is an uncertainty there. Giovanni Leone, look, he's a very promising, talented young Italian player who, in the limited sample size that we have, I think 70, 80 minutes of him playing against Southampton in a League Cup tie, looked impressive. Looked very, very good. Do not get me wrong. And I'm hoping that in the years to come, he will continue to develop and become a top quality player, and maybe even the long-term replacement for Virgil van Dijk. And look, the Italians have got a reputation for producing some of the best defenders in world football. certainly growing up watching Gazzetta Football Italia, I remember the Franco Baresis, the Alessandro Costa Curtas, the Paolo Maldinis, the Giuseppe Bergamis, the Bonucci's, the Cannavaros of this world, who were just absolutely outstanding. And you've got to hope that Giovanni Leone follows in their footsteps. If he does, then we have got one hell of a player. But look, it is widely acknowledged, I think, for anybody who has half a brain, that Liverpool do need centre-halves. And I think, we're looking at a situation, given the Canate situation, given the Gomez situation, given the Virgil situation, that we may need 2, maybe even 3 centre-backs going forward to replenish that centre-back room, to give whoever is the head coach, whether it be Arna or someone else, the tools at his disposal to do the job that is required to build a solid defensive foundation. Now, there is a lot of stories this morning that Liverpool are very interested in Mickey van de Ven, the Tottenham defender. That is according to loads of different people saying that this morning. It's really come alive with reports saying that Liverpool wants this player. Mickey van de Ven, who was one of Ange Postecoglou's first signings from Wolfsburg, has been a huge hit in the Premier League and has been exceptionally impressive in the Premier League as well. He is still young at 24 years old, still developing. Made 21 appearances, scoring 3 goals and 1 assist in the Premier League this season. 95% of Spurs starting 11s and minutes. Has also played 6 times, scoring 2 goals in the Champions League, including that incredible run from his own half goal that he scored. He's played once in the FA Cup. He's also, been a player who has been regularly one of Spurs' very, very best players. Made 29 appearances this season, scored 6 goals from centre-half, which is exceptionally impressive. Something that Liverpool centre-halves don't seem to do at this moment in time, and played over 2,000 minutes of football. Van de Ven is a very talented individual. He is aggressive in the tackle. He is exceptionally fast. He reads the game very, very well indeed. Came through the youth system in Volendam before going to Wolfsburg in Germany and then on to Spurs, and has a wide CV. Has also got 17 Netherlands caps as well. So this is a high quality player. And certainly someone, like I said, that Liverpool appear to have identified as a possible long-term replacement for Virgil van Dijk, not just because he's Dutch, but based on his talent alone. However, wrong screen. However, it does appear that if clubs are interested in securing Van de Ven's services, it is going to cost them a substantial amount of money. Now, there has been rumoured interest also from Manchester United in Mickey van de Ven as well. Now, reports coming out of Spurs are saying that if Van de Ven was to leave the club, apparently he is under contract to 2029. There has been reports that Spurs have tried to extend that and tried to improve his deal to make him more likely to stay. However, he is apparently resisting those contract offers from Spurs. So, look, has his head been turned? That is a question. But Spurs have said that if a club wants Van de Ven, it is going to cost them in excess of the world record fee paid for a defender, which, yes, still stands at around 80 million for one Mr. Slabhead, Mr. Harry Maguire. I still to this day don't know how anyone would pay £80 million for Harry Maguire. The guy is fucking shite. He really is a poor player. And I'm not just saying that because he plays for Manchester United. He really isn't that good. But, it is what it is. But it is rumoured that the fee for Van de Ven that Spurs would demand would be in excess of £100 million for a defender. Now, Liverpool have proven that last window that they were not shy to splash the cash. 116 million for Wirtz, 125 million for Isak, 90 million for Ekitike. So there's a proof there that for the right player, they're not afraid to splash the cash. However, counter stories are saying that Liverpool are unwilling to recreate their spending of the 2024 window. 2025 window, and spend over 400 million. Certainly 100 million on a defender would appear to make them bulk as especially when, maybe you could get the likes of Bastoni, Schlotterbeck, someone like that for less than that amount of money. But it is an interesting link nonetheless. I think, hopefully this is a target that Liverpool are serious about and they are exploring that. Now we know Liverpool do a lot of work around their transfer targets. They do a lot of work, pre-work, and and look at their availabilities. And they're not a club that reacts quickly or a club that reacts to injury situations. Unfortunately, they are a club that looks long term. So Van de Ven certainly would match that in terms of the future there. So guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on that one. Mickey Van de Ven to Liverpool. Is that a goer? Is that someone you would want to see? Certainly, I would like to see Van de Ven in a Liverpool shirt at Anfield. I think he would be a very, very good prospect. But, look, long term, we've also got to start to think about a replacement for Alisson Becker. Alisson's under contract until 2027. His injury history is certainly a concern. So, is Alisson going to stay beyond 2027? Probably not. So, with that in mind, where do Liverpool turn next? What's the next option in terms of goalkeeper? Now, look, I would have loved, don't get me wrong, Kevin Kelleher to stay and become Liverpool's number one. I think Kelleher is an outstanding goalkeeper. I mean, his penalty save rate is unbelievable. And he's been fabulous for Brentford this season. So, look, speaking about that, I think Kelleher would have been the perfect replacement. Unfortunately, Kelleher wanted to move on. He wanted to become a number one somewhere, which is fair play. At the moment, Liverpool obviously have a number of goalkeepers on their books. Obviously the headline there is Giorgio Mammalashvili, the Georgian international. We've also got Arman Pesci, Freddie Woodman, who I don't think obviously is a long-term candidate for replacing Alisson Becker. Obviously, Vítězslav Jaros is on loan at Ajax currently. He's apparently had some pretty decent reviews from Ajax fans in terms of his quality. I personally rate Jaros higher than Mammalashvili. But I honestly, I look at the situation as it stands at this moment in time. Yes, Jaros, could well come back to Liverpool. I think could be an option. I don't think, like I said, that long term that Freddie Woodman is the answer. Maybe Arman Pesci could be an answer, the Hungarian goalkeeper. He's only 20 years old, still developing as well. Hopefully, he's a player that he was nominated for the Golden Boy Award. He is very highly rated, is Arman Pesci. Hopefully, Arman Pesci is someone that could come through and really show that he could be the goalkeeper of the future for Liverpool. I know, like I said, I'm fully aware of the fact we have Giorgio Mammalashvili, but I will be wholeheartedly honest with you. I don't rate Giorgio Mammalashvili at all. I think he's a very average goalkeeper. His shot stopping is good, yes. His distribution is poor. His positioning is poor. His coming out and closing down is poor. His one-on-one skills are poor. I don't rate. I think, honestly, I will say again what I've said all season. Mammalashvili is a huge downgrade on Kevin Kelleher. And a future with Mammalashvili as Liverpool's number one does concern me greatly. But that's another one that Liverpool will have to address going forward. I'd love to know what the plan is. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the goalkeeper situation as well. Well, thank you for watching the LFC Journal. If you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe and help us to keep on going and growing every single day. Guys, thanks for watching. Catch you soon.